to make us be on MediaCom Internet, but it had to be ghastly. I think there's just like three hamsters spinning a wheel somewhere that has internet to downtown Jefferson City. It's Veterans Day. There's no one downtown, and the internet still sucks. I don't get it. But we are on Veterans Day, which is awesome. I think you give the first shout out to the veterans.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Scott, I just want to thank all our veterans, thank them for their service. I mean, each and every day, it's an honor to live in the United States and in a free country, and it's our veterans. My grandpa served in World War II. He was stationed in the Philippines. And my dad was a National Guard member from Missouri. So,
No doubt,
thanks,
no doubt. You get
veterans.
to serve with several too. Bill Hardwick, McMullen. I know
Yes, yes,
there's a lot of veterans. Rick Bratton, Denny Hoskins.
right.
It's a cool thing. That's a great thing about being in the legislature. You get to meet people from all over the state, all kinds of backgrounds. But today, especially the veterans, get a shout out.
Yes, that's
All right,
right.
let me ask you the big question. This was going to be a
Okay.
boring interview, I'm afraid, until last night. Representative Justin Sparks from St. Louis announced he was going to make a late challenge against current Speaker designee John Patterson. Um, I'm sure you're in. You probably your group text lit up like everybody's around the state. Uh, just
Yes.
on the face of it, what do you think of the chances that Speaker designee Patterson loses the designee title still?
Oh, I don't think he'll lose it all. I got my group text went off at about 5:40 this morning, and that's the first time I had seen it, and I was shocked. I thought it was very unusual to see that this morning. I mean, Scott, under the rules, like House Rule, I think it's six, you can, I guess, make this run, this very late run.
True.
But what you said is true. I mean, we went up last Wednesday, this past Wednesday. We went up the day after the election. We were there at noon. We made nominations for our leadership. And when it came to the speaker's leadership, John Patterson was the only one nominated, the only one that accepted it, the only one that we voted on. So I just think it's a late run for Sparks, and it's very unlikely that he will be successful in this.
Well, and you're an interesting one because if I had to guess, you might have not been the one to support Patterson for floor leader.
Yeah.
But if I had to guess, you were one that probably voted for him for speaker designee. Walk me through that transition.
Yeah. So as floor leader, JP, John Patterson, served as floor leader my first 2 years, which are the only 2 years I've been there so far. And he did a great job. He did an outstanding job. I didn't know anybody, didn't know how politics worked at all. And he did a really good job. And I always liked Representative Patterson. He's a team player. He's easy. He's very approachable when you need to talk to him about some issues. And so last year or last session when he came to me and asked if I would support him, absolutely, I would. I think he will be a great speaker for the Missouri House. And it's a little disheartening that we do all of this. Do our nomination process, inter office or inter party, do that, and then we get to today, this morning, kind of late in the game, and we have somebody coming out saying, "Oh no, I'm running now." The chance was last week. I mean, he still can do it per the rules, but the chance was last week to stand up and speak, kind of behind closed doors, and that clearly was not what Sparks wants to do, apparently.
So I guess I'll just ask you the direct question. You plan to vote for Speaker designee Patterson in January?
Absolutely, 100%.
To me, it's one of those things where if you had it's quite a parallel. Jason Bean, our state senator, he pulled back out of a leadership race in an attempt to try to
Right.
unify what's been, frankly, a pretty divided Senate the last 6 years. I thought that was quite a sign of statesmanship. However, this comes out, what is your expectations on? Let's say you are a Sparks person. If he runs, by the time he's on, there should be. Do you expect a coming together and everybody being on the team of whoever wins?
Yeah. I think whoever wins, we will all get behind because we are pretty unified as a party. I think so. But I was hoping starting off that we were going to have a quote unquote more harmonious house. I wanted us to come together. I mean, we've got a lot of good things going on right now. Trump's president. We've got Governor-elect Mike Kehoe. So going forward, I was hoping that the House would not kind of repeat the mistakes of the Senate last year. I was hoping that we would be together. Now, obviously, I'll get behind whoever's elected, but I hope that it will continue to be Speaker Patterson.
One last, I'm sure you've got different folks you text, you're probably on a bunch of group text. Have you, and I would ask you put any names, but have you heard of anybody who is like, okay, I'll vote to go back on our vote from last week?
No, I talked to several people this morning already about this because they were just as shocked as I was. And I mean, we're still behind. I gave my word to John Patterson last session. I will keep my word. That's what we do. So
it was interesting. I watched the video and I heard some complaining about HRCC. Now, there's always going to be ways to complain about HRCC, but boy, I tell you, this cycle does not seem the time to complain. And I can understand sometimes it's frustrating, fundraising is hard and all that, but I mean, no matter if you like John Patterson, if you don't, I mean, you all went in with 111 seats. With abortion on the ballot, in a presidential year, usually bad for Republicans, you had every headwind. I don't think even your most optimistic projections had you not losing a single seat. I in my gut, HRCC is on a pretty high wind right now.
Oh, they did a great job, with Hannah and Casey. I mean, they did a wonderful job, and the HRCC raised money well. They spent money very strategically to keep the seats that we had. I think we lost one and gained one. So we were, coming back equal. So, I mean, whatever they did, it worked. I feel like in the Missouri House.
Scoreboard, yeah. Well, and I get it. Yeah. I have some understanding for some folks. Say, well, I don't want to have to spend my time raising money but I'll tell you, you bought and paid for those seats. I mean, those seats were seats that you outspent the Democrats 5, 10, sometimes 20-1 for those seats. I mean, if you don't have that advantage, you're 3 to 5 seats down. If you take half the money out of HRCC, I think you conservatively lose 3 to 5 seats. So while I can understand a member frustrated about having to fundraise. Ask Phil Olerking. I think he appreciates it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, we have several of our members that we served with, and they did a great job. And I was afraid waking up Wednesday morning that some of those folks wouldn't be back. And, and that's what HRCC does. They help protect those. And as far as fundraising, Scott, I mean, that's something you have to do. It is not really particularly easy down here in the Boot Hill, I don't think. Historically in the past with our reps, they have not normally, some of them haven't raised. And so it's a job. I mean, it is a full-time job trying to do that. But as it showed Wednesday, I mean, the bounty that you reap the benefit of what you do. And I think we'll have a strong house. But like I said, I'm hoping that we will become very harmonious going forward. So we'll see.
Speaking of that, I've watched Mike Kehoe. I think this state, not just this Republican Party, I think this state is excited about Governor Kehoe. You just know when Mike Kehoe walks in a room that you don't have to know what he does or recognize you. That's an important guy. He's got that way about him. I think some of that harmony is going to be. I think he may be a pretty involved governor initially, and then a legislative process, and then it's going to be a good thing.
Oh, I think it's going to be a great thing. I mean, I'm very excited about Governor Mike Kehoe. I think he'll be a great leader for the state. I mean, he's a hard worker, and you know that. I remember seeing him 256 days prior to the general election, and he was counting it off then. I mean, he worked every single day all the way up, and probably is still working. Actually, I know he's still working probably today because my son called me earlier and he said, guess who's at College of the Ozarks today looking at the school? And it was Mike Kehoe. So he's out on the trail today too, just doing his thing. So
I thought he was wise in how he did his transition team. A lot of times you see folks on these transition teams for all the different offices. They come in, they put a bunch of big names on there, and I've just sat in my peanut gallery. I get to sit in and watch. sometimes when you have people with those big names, they have big schedules, they have big egos. It's hard to schedule meetings with them, to sit over in the Truman Building all day and interview people. And then it's if they can't make it because of their schedule, their ego kind of gets them ticked. I thought he was very wise. Mike Kehoe doesn't need big names associated with his transition team for people to know he's a substantial guy. I like that it looked to me like he brought people on the transition team that, one, are going to be able to dedicate a lot of time to this, because two, they're probably going to be working for him. And I thought that was a very savvy move to bring on folks that are not only have the time now, but they're also transitioning for their jobs too.
Right. Yeah. No. I think that's a great idea. Great move for sure.
So the one thing Kehoe did is he made trips down to our neck of the woods. So he won Southeast Missouri in the primary and the general, but he earned it. He was there, very present.
He was there a lot. In fact, not. I guess a year ago in December, he came down to my hometown. Representative Brown and I had something, and he came down to our event at Risco, population 300, and came to that event. So, when you come, I think when you show up to Risco, Missouri, and, and you're a lieutenant governor, I don't know if that's actually ever happened. So I think it's historical.
Well, the Neelyville Tigers have won some ball games at Risco, but I don't know if the lieutenant governor's ever been there.
No. Yeah, probably right. Fair. I'll give you that one. So.
Talking about Kehoe, it is an amazing story. You talk about work. I took Gussie up to Walnut Park. Carla May and Gussie and we went and kind of drove around. And Gussie has been to Mike Kehoe's farm, and it's a beautiful place. He's also been to his house and got to see his swimming pool, which impressed Gussie a great deal. But it was interesting. I got to see Gussie, and the questions he asked about, he only knew Mike Kehoe as this very successful guy, right? And he is, as far as Gussie says, he's rich as anybody he knows. And then he got to see where he grew up. Now, obviously, it was a different time when Kehoe grew up there, but still, I don't think it was ever mistaken for Ladue. The questions he asked me, and just watching the puzzle in his head come together, that you could be from a place that's not wealthy and attain literally the American dream. I think that's a hell of a thing to not only get to tour the state, but it's a hell of a thing to get to show my son.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and that's the stuff that we all love to hear. I mean, that's our story. Hey, look, I started here, and with a lot of hard work and perseverance, this is what I did. And so that is truly Mike Kehoe's story. And he is, I'm excited. I am excited about him coming in January for sure.
I know we focus on St. Louis, and I think that's a fine thing. Honestly, we don't like to admit it, but if there's highways or free cheese given out in our neck of the woods, probably St. Louis kicked in a little bit for it somewhere along the line. But all the poverty in this state is not in St. Louis. There are plenty of poor folks down on that Arkansas line that would benefit from policies that create more jobs and more growth.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Pemiscot County and really even parts of Dunklin County are some of the poorest in the state, which are all in my district. And so, yeah, that any job growth that Mike Kehoe can promote in the Boot Hill or across Missouri as a whole, I mean, that is something that we will welcome with open arms.
I got to take a second here and thank our sponsors. If you're going to bring somebody up for an event, let's say somebody comes up from Risco or Zenith or Hornersville, the good parts of Missouri, and they're going to come up for a meeting, where do you put them up at?
Absolutely, the Courtyard Marriott.
Well, she knows what's up. I always thank our friends at United Fiber letting us have these conversations. You cannot get further away from United Fiber and still be in Missouri than you could be in Risco. The Risco to Savannah would be at least a 2-day drive for most people. And I got to thank my buddy. Dave Castile, right, from Jefferson County?
Yes, absolutely.
He gave me this Ducks Unlimited Stein. I'm very grateful to him. I heard Brad Green, that works for former Senate veteran, works for Senator Schmidt. He's been out duck hunting, but I actually heard somebody tell me there's more ducks on this Stein than they've shot in 3 days.
That's not good. Then,
no, it's not
sure.
good. He should go to Mingo if he wants to shoot ducks.
Yeah, true.
So let's talk about Cinder Bean. You're from the same not just district but home county as Jason. I thought it was quite a magnanimous gesture he made to the Missouri Synod and his colleagues when he stood down his leadership bid in order to try to bring folks together.
Right. I mean, I think that was a very, very wise, but like you said earlier, he was being very statesmanly, because doing that, I mean, it just lessens the divide in the party. And sometimes things like that do cause a great divide that may not be overcome in a year or 2 years or 8 years. And so, yeah, we were really hoping that he would be successful. I was personally hoping that he would be successful in that bid, but I understand backing off.
I'm not totally sure how, I think he had a puncher's chance in that race. I thought when he stepped back for the betterment of the Senate, I thought that's the kind of thing Jason Bean would do, right? I honestly was not super surprised that he chose to do that just because I know Jason Bean.
Right.
So tell me, how's your district goes from the Pemiscot County line. You also go up and get Neelyville, the state cheer champions, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think they're second. They've already had their competition. They're second in state this year.
Oh, Brandy's going to be pissed.
I know, absolutely. But they're so good. There's good group of cheerleaders for sure. And then I go a little further west and a little north to all the way to a place probably well, Stringtown.
You won the legislative lottery and got Stringtown. So congratulations to you on that. We've had a long list of successful folks represent Stringtown. Joe Driscoll, the former Eco Devo director, Bill Foster, now the number 2 at Revenue, Todd Richardson. I think he has some kind of job in healthcare. I never can. I'm never sure. and yourself. We have been very fortunate in Stringtown to have we call it the birthplace of success there at Stringtown Grocery. So looking forward to session. What are you going to be working on?
I've got a few things. I've got some legislative cleanup. I'm doing a few things for the Missouri Bar, just some cleanup and some language on electronic wills and some things like that. I still have my hearing aid bill. I presented that last year. It got almost to the finish line, and it was a hearing aid and cochlear implant. So we're looking at that.
What are you doing for Missouri's bars?
The Missouri Bar for the lawyers. We're just changing some of the language. Yeah, sorry.
I was about to get excited.
No, very, very mundane. Nothing exciting at all. So,
but you can do something for the bars and let them stay open past 1:30. That's not the communist ridiculousness making people stop serving alcohol. It's really just German racism coming from World War I. Okay, we got to ask Kelton. Is it time? Let's see. It is time for Kelton's Illegal Sports Book. If you'll play along with us here, we got Truman out. All right, what a game. I think I saw on Facebook you were at the game Saturday.
I was there. Yes, go.
Everybody counted you out, Truman. Everybody counted you. Even Brian Williams. He was a little iffy on whether you were going to come through. But how about that? We give up a defensive touchdown. You come right back with a defensive touchdown. You stun Oklahoma 7-2. I don't know why we still get no respect. I mean, I guess our quarterback being hurt, but 7-2, and we've lost to 2 teams that are like top 10 teams. I mean, A&M and Alabama on the road, they blew us out, but I mean, I think we deserve more. What is the line, Kelton?
The line is Mizzou plus 11, South Carolina minus 11.
All right, so Cameron,
South Carolina.
Kelton Sportsbook is saying Mizzou gets 11 charity points. Who are you picking?
I'm still picking. I'm with Mizzou.
Are you going to take the points, or are you going to pick Mizzou to win outright?
I think I'm going to pick them. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like outright. So.
Oh gosh, she went with your pick, Kelton. Kelton's a big kiss ass. Kelton, what is you're? I'm sure going to take Mizzou.
Mizzou outright.
Mizzou outright. Okay, I'm gonna Truman. I love you, but I'm actually gonna be like the adult in the room here. I'm gonna take you like I have before, but I'm taking the points. These people hate money. I'm taking you with the points. So you may want to go over and sit by Kelton for the rest of the show. What are the Chiefs next week?
The Chiefs are playing Buffalo.
At Buffalo,
and the Chiefs have, I think that's an 11 or a plus 2.5. So.
So the Chiefs, what a weekend for football. Mizzou wins on a weird, amazing fourth quarter. Then the Chiefs win by blocking the winning field goal for the Broncos at Arrowhead. I mean, you can't beat it for drama. But next weekend, the Chiefs are underdogs. Is that right?
No, they're slight favorites.
They're slight at Buffalo. That's tough. Chiefs giving 2.5 to Buffalo.
I read it wrong. They're slight underdogs, 2.5.
Yeah, I thought they're giving Buffalo 2.5 points at Buffalo. What do you think?
Ooh, I don't know on that. That's
Kelton
don't you
will
think
pick the
it'll be
Chiefs, I'm
snowing up
sure.
there? Oh, I'm definitely Chiefs. I'm Chiefs all the way, but I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a tough one. So yeah, Chiefs.
I
for
think
sure,
that's going to be tough at Buffalo. I'm glad they're playing at Buffalo earlier. I mean, it only gets worse up there. I've been to Buffalo. It sucks. That win. Vogel likes it. Somehow Vogel likes the Buffalo Bills, like big time, like all in on the Buffalo Bills. He'll be hiding somewhere in Jeff City, not wanting to leave his house so he can wear his Bills jersey. Like I've got to ask. He's told me before. I still don't quite understand how he came to liking the Buffalo Bills in Central Missouri, but I think he's got a reason. I just can't remember what it is. All right, Representative Cameron Parker, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. The interview got more interesting last night. I appreciate you being willing to be the first person I know that stepped up and talked about the potential for a race, even if it may not be much of one. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, Kelton, she's a star. I know, Kelton, didn't think the Boot Hill could produce a politician like that.
I don't think I ever said that.
I think you kind of thought your eyes talk shit on the Boot Hill sometimes. I could feel it. But no, Cameron Parker is a legitimate star in the Missouri Republican Party. Going to be interesting to see what the next few months look like for her in the House and then her future. If you start talking about, you look to Kehoe as the party of today, right? You look at John Patterson as the future of this party. You look past that. I think the Republicans can show you from this past election day, you need that bench to constantly be refreshed. She's a person on that bench, not just for a potential state Senate seat in the future, but she could run statewide.
Absolutely. I think she has a very bright future ahead of her.
I mean, of the people you see on this show, there's no one more talented than her in the Missouri House.
Yeah, and the Missouri House definitely has some talented members for sure.
Well, they have some talent. Let's not get crazy. There's some talented members. I mean, let's not.
A few, at least.
Don't turn into a kiss ass about that, too. I mean, but I tell you what, speaking of talented members, we're going to have one on. Well, the talented member canceled, so we got Dane Deal booked in place of the talented member we were hoping for. But tomorrow at 11, we'll have Dane Deal on. I wonder what all Dane will have to say. If I had to guess, Cameron was very diplomatic, right, about the challenge. I think when you talk to politicians, they're going to take, if they have an out, like all of us, they'll probably take it. If I had to guess, you're not going to see a flood of members saying, oh, I'm going to go back on my word and lie to you and say I'm not voting for you now. I kind of don't see that. I do see success. I mean, if you were to somehow, if you're Sparks, I guess what you'd be thinking is if you go into the vote and you get so you need 82 to become speaker. Mark Richardson, my man, can tell you that, my old boss. And it doesn't matter how you get to 82. So what's 111 minus 82? Is that 29?
Yes, I think.
So Sparks walked into the room with 29. I wonder what happens. If he could go into the room and knock them down to where I guess he would need 30, to where there wasn't 82 for Patterson, which I think there's maybe a 2% chance of that. Then I guess the Democrats get to weigh in. You could see deal cutting. That could be interesting. I don't think it ever gets that interesting. However, I think if I just had to guess off the top of my head, this is talking to a few members and what have you, my instinct would be that Sparks will be able to go tap into a few of the they've got like a Freedom Caucus for House members, right? He may go get a few of those. If he gets to 10, which if I'm him, that's probably not bad. I actually don't think he's doing it for this. I think he's doing this because he thinks he can win. I don't see that. And again, I get to sit in my peanut gallery. You could take my prognostications for what you will. I don't see the potential of a win out there. I don't see the potential of walking into the chamber the first day of session with 30 votes out there. But if he did force this to a vote, if I had to guess, this will be worked out before there's an actual floor vote. Because I think most people say, well, I gave Patterson. I mean, here's the thing: if you're Patterson, Dean Plocker had some issues this last session, some significant issues. John Patterson handled the House floor extremely well, did his job very well. He was able to navigate a situation with the speaker who was under fire. He was able to, for the most part, stay out of that whole staff drama. He caught a lucky break, and some of the people that were very unhappy working there have now left. If you like those folks, if you don't, I don't know that was going to lead to a lot of harmony after what all happened. Then I've heard some members complain about HRCC, but none of them have complained except for Representative Sparks since the election. I mean, my God, I understand it's hard to fundraise. Some members are better at it than others, but you can't. I mean, you can't deny whatever they did was extremely effective. And frankly, Justin Sparks' district could quite possibly be bordered by some Democrat districts if that wasn't the case on more than one side. So his argument about that, I think, would have been a good argument had they not had a historically successful night on election night. It's very hard. I mean, Kelton, people second-guess the manager when they lose 7-1. You don't really second-guess the manager much when you win 10-1, right?
I certainly wouldn't second-guess that.
Whoever thought Andy Reid was a questionable hire by the second Super Bowl, they didn't think that. Nobody said that out loud anymore. I think that's going to be tough, but I tell you what I could see happening. The real probably way this could go. You go if it's taken all the way to a vote, which I suppose this vote would be in public. If I had to guess, Representative Sparks has thought through how he's going to do this and how and the off ramps. I doubt you do something like this without thinking it through. You could put together, if you go to a public vote on the floor, you could could you nominate 3 even? I don't even know if you could nominate 3. I guess you could, right?
We can crack open the rule book if needed.
Well, I'm not smart enough to. We'll have to call Jesus and ask him if this shit's legal. That's what we'll have to do. We got to call Jesus.
I'll get him on the line.
You've got to call Jesus, and tomorrow we have Dane on. We'll ask Jesus, is this shit legal? I would say if you had them, I tend to doubt if the freshman representative didn't have the votes, he would jump out in a public vote. My guess would be, but if he has 10, now every rep has access to their Facebook account, their Twitter. If he had 10 people, Kelton, come out and say, I'm voting for him, that's kind of a crew that could be a thorn in Patterson's side while he's speaker. I think if I had to guess, you're not going to convince most legislators that John Patterson is going to be defeated. So you're not going to see a mass group of people move, even if they thought their fortunes were better under some other situation. Plus, I think, you've got everyone's given their word to Patterson, or the vast majority. And I thought it was interesting, Cameron Parker, someone that didn't vote for Patterson for floor leader, right? But had no problem after working with him, supporting him for speaker. That speaks pretty highly of Patterson. He's able to grow his coalition, and speaks highly of her. I think you're going to see a lot of representatives say, well, they're not going to want to be rude, but they're going to say, we're not going to go and jump into we're not going to go jump into a mess because we've already given our word. I think that's the out a lot of folks take. I also think, it's a complicated thing to take out a speaker like that, especially one who, I think most folks thought did a pretty good job on the floor. And then I think, when he led HRCC to that historic night, I mean, I think even if you were a quiet detractor of Patterson's, I don't know how you argue with that kind of success. But it'll be interesting. I mean, I kind of think it's cool the way I watched most of the video. I don't know. I was actually took Gussie to see a movie called Wild Robot, which is a great movie, by the way. I thought it was going to suck. I really was dreading it. But I watched the whole thing. It was good. But when I was Corn Man down about where he should be. But no, seriously, if I watch this video, it's a cool thing to come up with some videos each week. I only saw one legislator kind of get behind it. It'll be interesting to see who all. I did see some members of the Freedom Caucus in the Senate that might want to pick a speaker. That always goes over great. I like Rick Bratton. Rick Bratton's a good dude to visit with. I'm not sure if you were running for House Speaker, if I would want the endorsement of some of the folks that I think get blamed for killing most of the House bills. I think Rick Bratton would be a tremendous endorsement if you're running for governor, if you're running for Congress, running for state rep. But if you're running for House Speaker, and the majority of those folks have seen a lot of their legislation die, Kelton, I don't know that Rick would be. I think his endorsement would be more valuable other places. Am I right?
I think that's an excellent perspective. It's kind of a hollow endorsement in that respect.
Well, there's several bills that may not have worked out. It's going to be interesting. Let's ask Dane Deal tomorrow. Dane is kind of a different part of the state, different crew of people in the legislature. It'll be interesting to see what he thinks. So maybe why don't we plan to get one more? Why don't we go get someone from St. Louis and see what they think? The path is maybe for Wednesday. So maybe we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then Thursday. I'm out. We're gonna hit the road. Sunday of this week in Missouri politics, we will have the president of rural Missouri, Garrett Hawkins. Will do his pre-Thanksgiving show. We'll talk about why you should appreciate instead of always complaining. I'm talking to you, St. Charles. Just appreciate the food rural Missouri puts on your plate this Thanksgiving, right? Maybe that's all our suburban friends, in order to be thankful, maybe they could just shut up whining for a day and just appreciate dinner.
I think that's an excellent plan.
That'll never happen, right?
We can sure hope.
We can dream. I have a dream. That one day suburbans will shut up about agriculture and just appreciate dinner. I also believe that dream will never happen. So, and I'll bet you another person we can ask about this dream tomorrow at 11 o'clock, Dane Deal. We'll see you then.